I recently built myself a new single burner propane gas forge as shown here. I built the forge out of a stainless steel cooking pot that's 9 inches in diameter and about 10 inches long. It's a single burner forge, not very big, but it's easily big enough to do knife blades, railroad spikes, things like that. In short, this is perfect for what I do. The burner I made myself as well from 1-inch steel pipe. A MIG welder tip is the gas orifice, and normal gas supply line. Now this is a forced air burner. You can see a black shop vac hose supplies the forced air to the top of the burner. The forced air comes from this blower that you can see center screen here, and the speed of the blower is set by the orange variac that you can see near the propane tank. It's a propane forge, of course, so we have a propane tank, and adjustable pressure regulator can be seen here. The forge is lined with fire brick. It's also lined with some 1/2-inch thick refractory ceramic plate, and it has a round hole in the back about 2 inches in diameter. This hole can be closed with a refractory plug if I don't need to have a long blade that needs to pass through the rear of the forge in order to heat the area I want. So I can do something longer in here with that pass-through. Also, seen sitting in front of the forge is a little dagger blade that I've started to check the new forge. I'll fire this thing up in a minute and just finish forging the bevels onto this little dagger. I don't have my electric igniter on here yet, so I'll be lighting it up with a propane torch. Well, let's start the gas and start the forge. Nice blue flame, and we're already starting to heat up. to full voltage so that the forge can be cooled down by airflow. Now the forge just has air blowing through it to cool it off now that I've shut it down. The Dagger blank can be seen in the foreground cooling. Once it's cooled, I'll do a little grinding on it. I'll start with my old 4x36 belt grinder here. It's equipped with a 36 grit ceramic belt, which I'll use to profile this thing and continue to form the bevels that are partly forged into it. Well, after grinding for about 15 minutes on the 36 grit, this looks a lot more like a Dagger blade. Here's another look at the Dagger blade. It's now been ground through 120, it has its shape, and it's pretty much ready to be heat treated at this point. I've relit the forge for the heat treat. The heat treating oil's in this 36-inch tall, 3-inch diameter steel tube, and the Dagger is just sitting on top there right now, waiting for the forge to heat up. The blade is now heating up for hardening, and I have here a magnet-tipped stick that I could use to check for critical temperature. Namely, it shouldn't be magnetic when I've got it hot enough. The next question is, did it harden? So I have a small file. And yes, it's skating the file. So it did harden for me. I've now cleaned up this Dagger blade, and it's also nearly sharpened. Pretty much time to move on to the handle. Back at the workbench, I have the blade sitting here. It's pretty much finished, ground, and polished. Now for the handle, I have a nice piece of striated limestone that I cut off a larger chunk, some of which is here. This has a nice line pattern in it. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit here. Yes. That should make an interesting looking handle. There's a closer look at the tang area and the piece of stone that I'm going to use. Next, I'll go and cut the stone down to size along the red line so I have a blank to begin forming my hidden tang handle. Made my cut on the diamond rock saw. The saw is fairly loud, so I skipped videoing the cut. Using my lathe and the 4-jaw chuck, I chucked the rock piece in the lathe and I drilled a hole about 2.5 inches down into it for the tang to plug into. I've got the rock prepared and now also a piece of brass trim. I think I can epoxy this together now. I now have the blade epoxied to the brass and limestone handle parts. I'll be able to finish shape the handle as soon as this epoxy sets up. I've now got some shaping done on the handle and the brass. So far, everything's come out nicely, no problem working the stone, no cracks or anything. It all went together perfectly on here. This now just needs final cleanup and polishing, and then to have the blade given its final sharpening. Here's a look at the finished limestone handled dagger from the new forge.